to the drawing board is one of those idioms that sounds super serious, but honestly, I think most of us have had real life moments like that, especially you with your cooking experiments.
Oh, absolutely. I once tried baking bread without flour. Genuinely thought I could substitute with hope and maybe a little bit of denial.
That sounds like a kitchen disaster waiting to happen. So, what did you actually end up with?
Basically, a brick. That's when I realized sometimes you just have to admit defeat and start over back to the drawing board. Happens at work too. Like if a project flops, your team just says it's time to rethink everything.
Exactly. In meetings, you might hear, our proposal didn't get approved, so we'll go back to the drawing board. It's such a gentle way to say, well, that bombed. Let's try again.
I love how it sounds creative, but most of the time we're just hoping the next idea isn't as terrible. On that note, speaking of starting over, the next idiom is all about energetic beginnings.
So, hit the ground running makes it sound like you're supposed to sprint into a new job or project right from the get go.
It really does. I remember my first day at a new job. My manager handed me a giant report and said, "We want you to hit the ground running." Meanwhile, I was still wondering where the coffee machine was.
That's classic. It's like, let me find my desk before I start breaking records. But this idiom comes up a lot when companies want new employees to get productive fast.
Yeah, but it can feel a bit overwhelming, especially if you're still figuring out where the bathrooms are. I guess it just means jump in, do your best, and try not to trip over your own feet.
Exactly. And if you do trip, well, maybe it's time for another creative solution. Which brings us to our next phrase. Now, think outside the box is probably the most overused creative advice ever, but for good reason. People really do want fresh ideas.
Totally. I've been in brainstorm sessions where the boss says, "Let's think outside the box," and suddenly everyone's suggesting wild things. Like, someone once wanted our newsletter to be delivered by carrier pigeon. No joke.
That's honestly kind of amazing. I think our weirdest was teaching grammar with vampire stories. People loved it, which proves sometimes the odd ideas actually work.
Yeah, and sometimes you go way too far, like suggesting a glowing musical flying box. But hey, you never know what's possible until you throw it out there. Speaking of quick check ins, our next idiom fits right in.
I hear let's touch base at work at least once a week. It always just means let's quickly check in about something, usually a project.
For sure, but I remember when I first heard it, I thought it involved actually touching something or someone. Glad I didn't try that, or HR would have scheduled a very different kind of meeting.
Definitely keep it virtual or verbal. Like, can we touch base after lunch about the podcast? That's just a way to say, let's have a quick chat. Nothing more.
And if there are fries involved in the meeting, even better. But seriously, it's one of those phrases that makes you sound like you actually know office English. Ready for the final idiom? It's about taking action.
So, the ball is in your court means it's someone else's turn to do something. Like, you've done your part, now it's up to them.
Exactly. My favorite example is at home. I cooked dinner, now the ball is in your court for the dishes. Somehow, I never win that game.
I think everyone tries to avoid that court. But in work emails, you'll see things like, I've sent you the documents, so the ball is in your court. It's a polite nudge to get the other person moving.
Just once, I wish someone would clarify if it's tennis or just a mountain of paperwork. Either way, it's your move. That actually wraps up our list, but let's do a quick recap before we go.
All right, here's a quick rundown. back to the drawing board, hit the ground running, think outside the box, touch base, and the ball is in your court.
These five show up everywhere in meetings, emails, even in awkward kitchen moments. But honestly, the key to remembering them is just using them in real conversations.
That's so true. So, listeners, pick one idiom and use it tomorrow, even if you feel a little silly. That's how you learn.
Trust me, it can't be weirder than trying to bake bread without flour. And I'll probably keep bringing that up forever.
Please don't, it's still too soon. But honestly, that failure is the perfect example. Sometimes you just go back to the drawing board, and that's okay.